Welcome to the Diverse Minds podcast, where we give you the tips, tools, and techniques you need to be a mentally healthy and inclusive leader. Each week, you'll hear about a variety of topics linked to mental health, well-being, and diversity that will enhance both your professional practice and personal well-being. Welcome to the 237th episode of the award-winning Diverse Minds podcast. Of course, this month we are celebrating and reflecting on International Women's Month. And in last week's episode, I talked about systemic change and how we need to think about this in order to truly inspire inclusion. Now, don't forget, if this resonates with you and you would like to work with me, I'd love to work with you. You can find out more about how we can connect in the show notes and visit my website, diversemind.co.uk. I can speak at your events, run empowerment workshops, or talk to your staff about strategic change. Now, today is all about digging into the topic of unmasking the mask and inner beauty. And to join me is fellow coaching colleague, the wonderful Loney. Marie is a Wellbeing Executive Coach who employs a person-centered approach to her practice. She has over 20 years of experience in facilitation training, executive coaching, and she specialises in enhancing mental fitness, productivity, stress management, resilience, and psychological safety. Marie says this focus fosters highly collaborative environments, building trust across teams, businesses, clients, and markets. She's personally faced stress, anxiety, and exhaustion and burnout in prior roles. Marie then decided to specialise in wellbeing, and she supports her clients in developing the mental fitness and wellbeing skills necessary for a sustainable work-life balance. Marie places wellbeing at the core of her coaching, recognising its pivotal role in improving employee engagement, performance, and overall business success, something we talk about a lot on the podcast. And her coaching methodology is tailored to support professionals to evolve their mental fitness and foster a culture of wellbeing within their organisation. Her extensive experience spans leadership, equity, diversity, inclusion, well-being across diverse sectors, including beauty, fashion, education, medical communications, pharma, charity, art, banking, and media with a global reach. And Marie recently spearheaded a very exciting initiative in collaboration with the British Beauty Council for British Beauty Week in 2023, the autumn just gone. The initiative aimed to guide consumers on a transformative journey of self-discovery by prompting them to contemplate the significance of inner beauty, hence why we're talking about this today. And the idea was to encourage individuals to unmask their faces and turn their focus inwards. The initiative sparked engaging discussions on the profound connection between inner beauty, outer appearance, and broader aspects of personal identity. So, Marie, a huge welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Layla. It's great to be here and it's great to see you and have this conversation.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And I loved our planning meeting when we were talking about this episode as well. So I've read out your bio, Marie, but I think it's great for listeners to hear for themselves what you're working on at the moment.
Yeah, sure. So there's a few projects that I'm working on currently, but they're all under the kind of well-being kind of banner. So clients working with stress management, around productivity and that work-life balance that's always kind of like eluding people. And I struggle with that daily as well. But those are the kind of projects that I'm working on right now. This whole space around psychological safety for organizations, teams, and individuals to actually feel safe in spaces where they work and just be able to communicate to others and feel respected and valued in that space as well. And that also kind of has some space in the inclusivity projects that I'm working on too. And a very exciting project too with the British Beauty Council.
Yes, which we're going to hear more about. And I love the way you said, I think about my own work-life balance too, because we know, don't we, Marie, being fellow coaching colleagues, that it is a work in progress. It's been a work in progress for many of us, hasn't it?
Yes, totally. It's a journey. It's a journey where there are kind of like pits and troughs, and we just have to navigate it the best way that we can. And when we do that, we also need to say to ourselves, it's okay. It's okay not to be able to accomplish that right now, but keep on striving to do that in some way, shape or form.
And you saying that then makes me want to ask you, what is this? Was this the journey? Was this the reason, the values that you set up Glow Consultancy?
Yeah, with Glow, I had this whole kind of experience working in industry whereby everyone knows it. We've probably all got the same story. You're in a rat race, basically. You're running. You're not looking after yourself. You are blinded by the tasks that are building up. You are blinded by the requirements of the boss or the requirements of the customer. And you're just going for it and you're going for it. And it's not until you stop that you realize that you're exhausted. You realize that you're burnt out. And you realize that you're really stressed because that tenseness and that kind of like stuff that was fuzziness that was going on in your head, there's a certain amount of release when that happens, when that project is over, when you've let go to a certain extent, and you realize that, wow, I was under a lot of stress going through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd really love to know more about the name. So what made you call it Glow Consultancy?
Yeah, it's kind of related to what happens inside for me. So that was more of a kind of a psychological element, if you like, and how that played out in who I am and what I do. So if you want to call it treasure, it's my treasure within. If you want to call it something that can connect with people, it's something that connects with people on a different sphere, if you like. So it's something that brings me joy, it brings me peace. It could be my authenticity. It's many things, as you can hear. I'm starting to roll off a list. It could be something that's authentic about me. It could be the way that I treasure myself, my self-care, and the confidence that I kind of bring out into the world. And that's not to say that I'm not, I am human. I was just about to say I'm not human. I am human. And there are times where that glow might be slightly dimmer than other days. But it is that. It's something that's invisible and it's intrinsic that's within me.
And that's so helpful and so beautifully put. And often, things like glow, everything, language is just so interesting at the moment, but glow up. And I'm thinking about the makeup competition, which I do love watching, but glow up, glow, sun kiss, da 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 da. And you talk a lot about inner beauty. So we know we've got the Instagram face, we've got all that going on in the world out there. But what does the term inner beauty mean to you?
Well, inner beauty, I'll actually talk about the project that I did with the British Beauty Council. So in October 2023, I collaborated with the British Beauty Council for British Beauty Week and set up an initiative that sort of aimed to guide customers to think about self-discovery, a journey of self-discovery. And in order to do that, I was asking them, the public, what does inner beauty mean to you? So that was kind of to encourage them to contemplate what is going on inside of them, and also maybe as well contemplate what externally they're putting out to the world and what the difference is, and why are they different, and start to have that sort of discussion. So that was encouraging individuals to unmask and look at that inner focus, so that they could start to make a connection between the inner beauty, the outer appearance, the differences, and primarily personal identity, really.
And going to that point about personal identity, I think that's absolutely crucial because there's so much in advertising in various industries, subliminally, very blatantly, around beauty and what it means. And I think the way you've captured that inner beauty is so helpful. And thinking about global majority women, and we know that that encompasses many cultures, but being global majority, but yet being classified as ethnic minority in the UK, what do you think are the biggest challenges for global majority women being able to be themselves, particularly in the workplace?
Yeah, the challenge that we have is we have these norms, don't we? We have these norms of what beauty looks like, and we're bombarded by imagery, we've been bombarded even by language that what that should look like. And it's a Eurocentric ideal of what beauty is, which is, it doesn't actually, it's not one size fits all. And that's the challenge that we have as, women of global majority, because if you sit outside of that, what does that mean? If you sit outside of that, I was on a program the other day and talking about, if you go to a hotel, are there products for you, for your hair, for your skin? Do you have to think about things like that? Well, I've always historically taken all my products with me because I knew there would be nothing that I could actually use. It's only recently when you've gone to department stores and found products that would match your skin color. Before, yes, you may have had 3 shades and none of them worked for you. And now you have a variety of shades because we are a spectrum. Women of color are a spectrum of shades, and they should be we should be accommodated for. And also things like tights. Remember the good old American tan? I mean, really, that everyone looked, it was awful, beyond belief that we all had to wear American tan, regardless of the shade of our skin. Now we have a lot more products that are out there for us to actually, that are appropriate for our skin, as well as undergarments. Even now to this day, to find a flesh-colored undergarment, it's nearly there, but not quite there. But I'm in a better space.
Yeah, I think about Nubian skin, obviously Ade Hassan and how she set it up, and you talking about foundation. That's why I've never worn foundation. It was too exhausting to be bothered, so I never wear it. I just put on rosehip oil and get on with it.
Yeah.
So it's funny, isn't it? And even though I think now there's probably quite a lot for my skin shade, but because I don't know. I could talk about that all day. Actually, it's really interesting as a teenager, and all the pinkiness. So you might go, "Oh, that matches you," but the undertones of our skins as well. So
Yeah.
South Asian skin tends to be more yellowy, so there's all of that going on as well, not pink like white skin. So
yeah, totally. And just going back to that piece about in the workplace, what and in society, if you like, what needs to happen to support the global majority. It's kind of like this whole thing around intersectionality as well. So these layers of discrimination that the global majority face. So it's not only that you're Black or you're a person of color, it's also that maybe you're a woman. Maybe you don't fit into other norms culturally. Maybe you don't fit into other norms. Maybe you wear a headscarf, and that's for maybe religious reasons. So then there might be religious reasons that you are discriminated against in the workplace as well. So it's all multi kind of faceted around that, and those pressures of that body image pressure as well, if you like. Women of color more often than not can be more rounded or more athletic looking, whereas you have this kind of androgynous look in the Eurocentric kind of look that everyone kind of like thinks is beauty. But who defines beauty? Do we define beauty? We should define our own beauty. We are all beautiful. And that's what we should really, that's where our mindset should actually go. We should start thinking of how beautiful we really are. And the difference is in the beauty, or the beauty is in the difference.
Yes, and there are too many kind of trite conversations about diversity, but I think that's a very helpful way to phrase it and what we're talking about. And listening to you talk, I was thinking about many years ago, J.K. Rowling came out, didn't she? And she said, why do we go on about people being fat? Is it really that bad? So it's okay to be nasty. It's okay to be a horrible person. It's okay to make people cry. I'm paraphrasing. That's not quite how she said it, but that we slam this word fat onto women like it's the worst thing in the world, when there's so many horrible traits of personalities that we don't challenge appropriately and effectively, but we slam this word onto people as an insult. And talking about body shape and size and who gets seen as well. So again, you might be the quote unquote right body shape, but you might be what's perceived as not a very visible skin color, visible in some ways, but not visible in terms of beauty and inner beauty, and how we put physicality over what someone is shining through with their positive traits of collegiality, friendliness, happiness, kindness, and all those aspects of themselves.
Yeah, that also reminds me of this whole sense of external beauty we praise, internal beauty not so much. But we might say, do we call external beauty pretty or handsome, and then call real beauty what it is that comes out from within us, and touches people in such a way that it brings joy or calm or peace or authenticity or confidence, any of those things? Because if you think about it, when we have turmoil going on inside, it actually comes through on our face. It comes through our eyes. It comes through those kind of micro expressions that we have. It comes through even those movements that we have. So we really need to define the word beauty, redefine the word beauty, because the real word beauty is something that's much bigger than just something that's pretty or handsome.
Yes. Yes, the way we might describe bonny children.
Yeah.
It goes much, yeah, which is, we still need to keep doing that. I'm not saying we don't do that, but adults in the workplace is quite different.
Yes.
So what do you think workplaces can do, Marie, to embrace this idea of inner beauty and unmasking this mask? And this might be particularly pertinent in the beauty industry, in the fashion industry, in the industries that you have experience in.
Well, the organizations develop the culture. So if the organizations develop the culture, then they need to start to think about how they can be more inclusive, how they can be more equitable, if you like, and how they can actually celebrate diversity as well. So in those places, they'll have to think about how can they make people feel as though they belong, employees, regardless of their background or their appearance or their identity. And maybe that's about modeling. Maybe that's about leadership modeling, communicating that to their teams and communicating that so that their teams then communicate it within their teams and then also through to their customers, because they have to think organizations have customers and they're a diverse pool of people. So if they model that through their company, they will feel the ramifications of that. The customers will feel the ramifications of that. Training. I mean, you and me, we know about that trainings piece. Training is very important. Training, I did some training the other day around basically race and anti-racism. And it was great to have people in the room, because having people in the room started a discussion. Of course it was awkward. Of course it was uncomfortable in certain places, but it started the discussion. And if you have people from senior leadership to people on the ground in the room, everybody can start to have the conversation together. So everyone, it's almost like permission to speak like this, but always in a psychologically safe space. Because if it's not a psychologically safe space, if people don't feel like they can actually contribute and not get slapped back, if they feel that they can't learn and not be authentic in that learning, if they don't feel like they can challenge in a constructive way and get feedback that's constructive, then it's just not going to work.
Yeah, it's crucial. And I think this is why we're seeing things not moving on at the pace they should be moving on, because it's back and forward, leadership changing, people change jobs much more quickly, especially I think after the pandemic and lockdowns, and there doesn't seem to be that continuity, and therefore the tone isn't set, the culture isn't set, so people feel fearful.
Yeah. And then there's more in terms of resources that are out there, and there's more, organizations that have coaching training packages, can design packages. Online there are resources and people you can connect with, groups you can connect with. There's so much kind of out there that people can actually help support them with their well-being, their self-esteem, and make also some of the professional challenges that they may have. Now there are people of color who are coaching, so they can coach people of color.
Absolutely. And if you want to know more, do check out the Diverse Coach Directory, where you can see a number of diverse coaches with diverse global majority backgrounds if you're interested. And I'll also put the link in the show notes. So Marie, of course, you mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, and I always ask my guests this. You're an incredibly busy person and professional. How do you look after your own mental health? What are your top 3 tips?
So it's been a journey, and there are some key things that I actually do for myself. I always start my day well, and that would mean having music that's inspiring, motivating, doesn't have to be loud and loud and crazy. For me, it's something more melodic, something that's refreshing, and something that will help me to sort of support my day. And I will spend a certain amount of time, I carve out some time in my day to actually reflect, to meditate, to think about, words of affirmation, things that are going to lay positive mindset, give me a positive mindset to start the day. And then from there, I start some breathing exercises. I use the cardiac coherence method. So that's breathing in on the count of 6 and breathing out on the count of 6. And that's one cycle. And then repeat that for about a minute. So there's 5 that you'll do, cycles that you'll do in a minute. And I might even repeat that for 5 minutes. That took me a while. At first it was a minute, and then I got myself to 5 minutes. And I find that's really good. It's got amazing benefits in terms of reducing the heart rate, in terms of calming you down internally. It helps if you're feeling stressed and anxious. Breathing is, for me, is a real godsend. And then I would say taking, I use the Pomodoro technique when I work in the day, and I do not. So the Pomodoro technique is basically focusing on intervals, focusing at a certain interval. So it might be for half an hour, you focus on a task, and then you have a 5-minute break. I can't say hand on heart that I'm definitely doing half an hour. I might do 40 minutes and then have a break, or I might do 3/4 of an hour and then do a break. And sometimes then I'll come back to half an hour and then do a break. But that really helps me refresh when I'm doing a task. And sometimes tasks can be quite challenging, and you're not able to discover or find the answer right there and then. By getting up and walking away, I find that my brain is still working, and I come up with some ideas that I probably wouldn't have if I'm still looking at the screen and trying to squeeze it out like mad. So those are kind of my top 3 tips, I would say.
Thank you. That's brilliant. I really should make a book of everyone's tips, because no one ever has exactly the same 3 tips. So finally, Marie, if people want to know more about you and your work, and I will of course include the link in the show notes, how would you like them to get in contact with you?
Well, LinkedIn is great, or my website, and that's glowconsultancy.london. And there's a Calendly invite there as well. You can actually pop on and have a chat with me. And there's always the good old email. Send me an email at marie@glowconsultancy.london.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Marie. And it's been such a joy. Marie and I were together on Shazad Shameen's course, Positive Intelligence, and we got to know each other a lot better. And it was a real joy to work with you then. It's a real joy to be your coaching colleague in the wider sector, if you like. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's really good to talk to you today.
Oh, take care, Marie, and take care, listeners. Do continue with us this month as we celebrate, embrace, and reflect on International Women's Month. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Diverse Minds podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you access your podcasts from. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Tune into next week's episode of the podcast, where I'll bring you more insights on mental health and inclusion. Bye for now.